I'm about to share 7 reasons not to write in first person. In this video, I'm going to question whether writing in first person is always a good idea, and whether the current trend towards first person perspective is a good one. Of course, there are many professionally published books being written in this view. How does this trend affect reader experience? Should you as a reader choose a first person or third person book? And later I'm going to talk about some well-known books and what style they are written in. Bestseller, The Will of the Many. Thanks for tuning in. Please like and subscribe if you like my content, and be sure to watch my book writing tip series. So why not write a novel in first person? You narrow your worldview and developments of the story to that one character. You lose out on the chance to add suspense by revealing to readers why another character or scene your main character is not in, something that is about to threaten your character. Number 2, it's really hard to do justice to a good plot with this narrow perspective for the reason above, and because the plot is very one-dimensional. Number 3, it's difficult to describe a person without them looking in a mirror. As a result, you rely on another character making comment in dialogue about their appearance, or asking something such as if they've had a haircut. Number 4, it's tricky to show rather than to tell due to being more in the character's thoughts and heads. You lose your author's voice and have to keep the character's voice strong and consistent. Number 6, your readers may not be able to rely on your character's point of view as always being an accurate interpreter of events. Number 7, you as a writer will have to make a concerted effort not to start sentences with I. I've written a draft few chapters for a book years ago in first person and found that aspect incredibly hard. Book writing tip series. Tip number 5, choose your point of view style carefully, considering the pros and cons and what will suit your genre and plot the best. So why then is there a trend towards first person writing? One reason is that it allows readers to get inside a character's head and feel the story through them, possibly more intimately and emotionally than third person. I'm not sure this is necessarily the case. My published book, Sebastian, Truth and Lies, is in third person, and many reviewers commented on positive character development and going on an emotional ride with Sebastian. One reviewer said he was the type of guy you couldn't help but root for, so I didn't need first person for that. I also enjoyed the fact that I could develop the story from other angles and get inside other characters' heads as well, to add different layers to the story. If you write in first person, you can't talk about any events that happen where the character is not. That's very limiting. As a result, I think writing a first person novel that works is hard work. However, I believe it would be more suitable for AI generation if you don't mind a lower quality product and you're happy with using AI to write a book. Having multiple third person characters and scenes on the go would be very hard for AI, I would imagine. What else do first person advocates say in that style's favour? Well, they say it gives a unique or interesting perspective. It is helpful when having an unreliable narrative interpretation adds to the story. What do proponents say is good about third person writing? Let's look at the 3 different types of third person writing. Third person omniscient point of view. The omniscient narrator knows everything about the story and its characters. This narrator can enter anyone's mind, move freely through time, their own opinions and observations as well as those of the characters. An example of a well-known book written like this is June by Frank Herbert. Famous author Stephen King also commonly writes in this way. Third person limited omniscient. This point of view, often called a close third, is when an author sticks closely to one character but remains in third person. The narrator can do this for the entire novel or switch between different characters for different chapters or sections. This point of view allows the author to limit a reader's perspective and control what information the reader knows. It is used to build interest and heighten suspense. The Hunger Games and Harry Potter were written from this point of view. The third person objective. The third person objective point of view has a neutral narrator that is not privy to characters' thoughts or feelings. The narrator presents the story with an observational tone. Reasons for third person writing. Robust character development. The third person has a wider narrative scope than its counterparts and can shine the spotlight on more than one character. These multiple angles give a reader a 360-degree view of the plot, each adding information that another character doesn't have, creating a rich, complex narrative flexibility. The third person can offer more flexibility. You can be everywhere, help your readers see everything, and switch between various character stories. You can go from completely knowing everything to a limited or close third point of view. This latter style gives you the ability to be inside a character's thoughts, feelings, and sensations, which can give readers a deeper experience of character and scene. An authoritative, trustworthy narrator. Writing from third person stations the narrator above the action, creating a bird's eye view of the story. This angle, along with the ability of the narrator to know at least one character's thoughts in both omniscient and limited third person, gives the narrative a more authoritative, reliable voice, since the narrator has nothing at stake. 4 tips for writing in third person point of view. Determine which third person approach fits your story. As you start to write, consider which third person perspective can best tell the story of your protagonist. There are advantages to each, depending on the genre of your story. For example, a closed third narrative humanizes characters by revealing their innermost thoughts, and used for villains as well, it can add depth to their threat and reasons for their depravity. Follow high-stakes characters. When choosing which character will serve as your main point of view for any chapter or scene, hone in on the person who has the most to lose or learn. Whichever character is facing the highest stakes, the one who has the most to lose or learn in a particular scene will be the one to follow closely, because their thoughts and reactions will carry the most tension. Reveal only what your character knows. Well, point of view is an essential tool in character development because you're describing the world through a character's eyes and letting readers know what they think and feel. You should be aware of what your character's limitations are. Review your writing frequently to scan for mistakes you might have made in giving a character information or opinions they wouldn't normally have. The experts say you should be consistent and not switch which character's head you are in during a scene, as it could be jarring and confusing. Yes, it could be. I'm not sure if I agree with that completely though. I think you can switch and it can make the scene way more interesting for the reader, as long as you make it clear whose head you are in. In Sebastian Truth and Lies, I have several dialogue scenes in which the speaker's thoughts are also evident. I have had no negative feedback about it, and I think it added an extra dimension to the scenes as readers could see beyond the words and dialogue to the lies. I think the key is to make it clear in your story who is saying or thinking what. I'm currently reading The Will of the Many by James Islington. It's currently #1 on Amazon in the historical fantasy section. It's written in first person from the perspective of a young male fugitive who through fate ends up being able to rise through the ranks in the regime which caused his family's downfall. It's a good read, but the first person aspects mean I have no idea what the young man looks like except from inferences I have drawn from things in the story. For example, he fights in illegal fights, so I presume he is muscular and in shape, except of course for the scars he often refers to. I have no idea what colour hair he has or his eye colour. Is he good looking? No idea yet. Not sure if those things are really relevant to the story, but there is definitely a definite consequence from it being written in first person. I've also noticed he has to eavesdrop a lot to be able to work out what is going on in his world, or rather for the author to tell readers what is. So yes, I still prefer third person. However, even though I'm really enjoying this book. However, here are examples of first person series or books I love, despite what I said above. The Seven Sisters by Lucinda Riley, the Divergent series, and several psychological thrillers. Possibly some of the first person stories I have not enjoyed were AI written. I do find thrillers, mystery and romance better in third person generally, and yes, it is my preferred writing and reading style, primarily due to the depth and scope it adds to a book. Please leave your comments below on this topic. What are your preferences? Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe if you find this at all useful. See you next time.